Okay, I'm going to talk just quickly through a bit of what I've been doing and what all this woodwork and jigging and stuff was about, and then we're going to continue with the time lapses. I know that when I'm doing things in fast forward and it's happening very quickly, it's very hard to follow what I'm doing and what's going on. So what I've made here is we have these jigs. These were gifted to me by Bill Reeves. Thanks, Bill, if you're out there and watching this. Basically you can see my table there that I built with its top, and we've hot glued these jigs onto the table. Masonite went into the jigs to give us a nice smooth form. Those are just nailed into those jigs. On top of that we've got foam. That's the foam for the sides of the fuselage. And on top of that we have doublers, which is just more foam, thicker and a denser foam. Then there's a couple of depressions that have been made into this foam. This was all just with sandpaper. I put a little bit of micro here to fill in some spots, sanded that down too. But so this little depression here is for those fuel side gauges I have. Let's just go fetch those. So these guys, there's a backing that goes onto this, and on the other side of this panel, if you look here, this is the back of the plane. That would be towards the front. Towards the back here, where the strike area is the fuel tanks sit on the other side of this foam. So we've thinned this down so that there are tiny little bushings that are going to go through this into the fuel tank from the back of this, so that fuel can flow into this bubble here and give us an indication of how full the fuel tanks are. That's basically your fuel gauges. So that's going to sit in there. Now you can see at the moment this is quite oversized, but that's only because this gives us a flange so we can put our backing onto glue our backing onto that with epoxy. Once we've got the fuel tanks on the other side, we can glue those in there, put our little eyelets in there that are going through this into the fuel tanks. And then once everything's epoxied together, I can trim these down to, you know, the minimum that will be seal, and then that will sit there as the fuel gauge. And of course we've done the same on the other side for the left and right tanks. Then there is a second depression that happens here, which is this. This is where the control sticks are going to be in the plane. So there's two control sticks, one on the right and one on the left. If you're looking at these panels, you have to realize they're swapped. Okay, so this is the bottom of the plane, which means this panel goes on that side and this panel will sit like this on this side. Okay, so keep that in mind. So this would be the right stick or the starboard stick. That would be the port stick or the left side of the plane. Okay, so these depressions get made so that you have a little bit more stick deflection into there. That means that in this area my arm is going to be about there in the plane. In my this is quite difficult to do with two hands like this, but you know, my arm's going to lie on a shelf that, and there I dropped some wood, on a shelf that lies about there. My arm's going to lie there and the control stick's going to be here, and that allows us to get full deflection on the stick. This little depression that gets made here, my sanding implements kind of dug into the foam here. That was a hole that went all the way through, so I've had to micro some of the holes and things shut. It didn't go too well, but you know, that's the nice thing about this foam, is we can always just fill it up with a bit of micro here and there where we damage it. Cool, then we have all this doubling with all this foam, and we've got a lot of wood pieces. So a lot of my previous video was about all the wood that we made, and these are here to reinforce the landing gear area. So the landing gear bulkheads that I made get glued in here. There's a couple of reinforcement steps that are probably going to happen in the videos that are coming up. First off, we have this stick that I dropped on the floor here. That's triangular like this, and that's going to run all the way from the firewall, which goes here, all the way through to the front of the plane, same as that top piece of wood there. That's called a longeron. That is let's see if we can find a spot here. A laminated 3 strips of wood with doublers put in strategic places, and that's transferring loads all the way along the fuselage. That long triangular piece is basically going to sit here, and this doubler doubles that up to make it square again, so that these pieces of wood can tie into that, and we create a box structure here together with a firewall for strength for the landing gear, because obviously the moment you land, the landing gear experiences a lot of shock, and this all has to distribute that. This is a channel cover. This is the electrical wiring that needs to go from the front of the plane into the back where the engine is. You know, the starters and the engine and monitoring equipment and all that kind of things. So those wires need to somehow get through this strengthened box, and how that's done is that they will go in here, come up this ramp, and then continue on into the back of the fuselage. And we've made these covers to sit there. This will need to get cut there and here a bit to make it all fit, but at the end of the day, it's just this channel makes a kink like that into the back, and then we can feed our wires through there under all this reinforcement. After this channel cover is epoxied in place, all of this will get filled in with foam, and more fiberglass will go over it. This really gets strengthened a lot. So this entire piece will get two plies of fiberglass over it. We'll glue this on top of that fiberglass. We'll install all of these reinforcements. We'll fill this up with more foam that's going to be cut to size to perfectly cover this channel, and then we're going to fiberglass all of it again. Okay. There's a dual purpose here as well, in that this is the landing gear attach area, and this block in here is going to be where the main spar is going to run through. That's a very, very thick fiberglass piece that makes a C like this, and that's going to be where the wings attach, that has to carry all the weight of the plane. So all this reinforcement in this area is going to be quite necessary. You can see those doublers there as well. Once again, just to help distribute loads and things, I'm sure. So these long pieces are called longerons. They were made by me and my father many years ago, actually, and I've had them for a long time, just waiting for me to get to this point to be able to install them. Here we also see some doubling. This is where the canard bulkhead basically sits here somewhere about there, and then the canard is going to attach here. A lot of the stuff forward of about there-ish is going to get cut off, maybe to about there, so that the canard can mount in there. And so that's where we are. The next step is going to definitely be glassing all these panels completely, and then I can work on doing more glass reinforcement over the longerons, because they need it, and more glass and foam reinforcement here in that landing gear and main spar attach areas. Cool, so that's what I've been doing. I've been doing lots of time lapses with very little explanation, and I think it's nice to have that kind of visual depiction of what's going on without much explanation, and there can be a little bit of intrigue and discovery that's going on. You're not just watching something that you already understand. But I thought things are getting a little bit complicated, and I would better explain why I'm doing what I'm doing, and maybe the next couple of episodes make more sense. So the next couple of videos is probably going to be me finishing up these sides, and then shockingly, the thing that comes directly after that is to assemble the fuselage and put it all together into a tub that one can sit in. Can you believe that? So I'll probably make another explanatory video at that point.